I'm in a place where it's like I barely have enough to support myself, let
Yeah.
alone the other people that I'm trying to help. So I
Yeah,
like to
yeah,
try
yeah.
and figure out different ways and methods to do that,
Mm-hmm.
especially because this year I've I've been kind of ghost. I wouldn't say ghost. I
Mm-hmm.
was just in my own bag, focused, just trying to
I
do
feel that.
enough research
A
and figure
hundred.
things out for
A
me.
hundred.
And so like there are times where I would go to conventions, like for example, like Eat Sleep Dance Repeat. That was like the one of the biggest things I've been to like in a while, and I
Okay.
loved it. It was
Dope.
great. Thank you, by the way. That was
Thank you,
fantastic.
thank you, thank you.
It
That's
was like
dope.
a birthday present to myself, to be honest, because I was like, you know what, I'm going, like I'm gone.
Thank you. That's
And
dope.
yeah, so like ever since then, I was like, this pushes me more to be like, hey, I want to still definitely pursue art and do what I'm doing, and what I'm doing is actually great. It's just a matter of I need to better manage my funds or being able to support myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll get into the other stuff soon of like what has happened in my life, or where do you want me to go? You want me to start there first?
Yeah, it's up to you, honestly. The flow of conversation is more for you than it is for me. I'm just gonna like give what you feel like you need.
So I actually wrote it all down.
Okay.
So crazy thing happened to my life. First one
Mm-hmm.
is when I made that change to be full-time artist, it
Mm-hmm.
was really, really hard because, of course, I had to find different studios I can work at. There are places I could, which is great. Jeff actually helped me out with finding places in Boston to teach at, like Urbanity, for example.
Okay, okay.
And I've been with them since, and like they all love me. All the kids love me. Like I'm like it's great.
Mm-hmm.
Other places around, I've joined some other companies. Like obviously, I was part of Funk Phenomenon
Yeah.
for dance. Which is beautiful. But at the same time, it's like I still need more work. I
Mm-hmm.
still need more work. I still need to get more funds because, a camera doesn't pay for itself.
Yeah.
Hardware doesn't pay for itself. You need to get customers, more people who are interested, who will actually pay for your art, not just like say, oh, I just want to get this little picture on my wall, or I just want you to take pictures, and it's like, oh, is that like 25 bucks?
Mm-hmm.
That's no, that's not how it works.
Mm-hmm.
Art's
Mm-hmm.
more expensive than that, especially the time I put into it and what I create for you is very, you know, time consuming. And I
Yeah.
put my love into everything.
Of course.
And so, um, I barely made it. I do bar mitzvahs over the weekend. I do like obviously conventions. I do privates. It's been great.
Mm-hmm.
Then last year, in the summer, after the convention of East Street Dance Street last year,
Mm-hmm.
my landlord passed away. And it happened in the house. So like I went to the convention, I come back and I find that my landlord's gone, and I was like,
Whoa. That's
what?
ridiculous. Okay.
What? He literally, it was a day before, like, and it shocked everyone in the house. And I'm friends with my landlord. He's been there with me, supporting me. He even helped me with like finding other places that, because he knows I like mentoring, like finding kids that I could personally mentor, for example, that
Okay.
want to learn about art. So he
Yeah.
really, really helped me and supported me more, honestly, than my family has,
Mm-hmm.
which is great. And then finally, I lost him, and it's crazy because he let me live there rent free, or like whenever I have the money, yeah, I can give him rent whenever I need to, which is a beautiful situation.
Yeah.
And I would help around the house. I would help paint stuff, or like I would help move stuff around. Like it was easy.
Mm-hmm.
And since he was gone, now I have three other people that lived in the house, and that basically put the responsibility on me to make sure everything was still right in the house because he looked at me as the other head figure. So I had to tell them the news about what happened. Then we're basically living in this house low key, um, and we don't pay. Obviously, it's rent free, but at any point in time, we can be kicked out. At any
Yeah.
point in time, like the realtors who buy the house now, they can just be like, "Yeah, you gotta go, like bye." And luckily, I was able to talk to someone who was Jim's friend. Actually, it was his best friend, and Jim actually put in his will for whoever's living with me to be like, hey, these guys are really good. They're okay. Just like until they can find a new place to live, can you keep them there for a period of time? Cool.
Hmm.
That's great. And finally, in February, I was able to find a place with one of my roommates. It's a lot more expensive. It's in a better place in Worcester.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it. Like it's beautiful. It's great. But again, it's more expensive.
Yeah.
Um, and now I'm in a position where I was like, I have to. get more money in order to sustain myself. But at the same time, again, I'm a full-time artist, so I'm very focused in my bag.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So now I'm barely making it pretty much. I barely make it. Like even in August, I had no work, no dance, no nothing, nothing going on. It's just
Mm-hmm.
like I barely made. I don't know how I was able to make it. Like a lot of friends came over and helped me, gave me money, this and the other, and they know that I'm a type of person. I like to help others. I really bad at taking help from others. I really like. Like no, I'll figure it out. Like no, don't do it for me. And
Mm-hmm.
then they force it on me. I'm like fine, I can't. And now I'm in a position where I'm like, this is the new year. I have new places I get to teach at, new studios, new opportunities. I also have to make big sacrifices, and it's like weighing things out for myself. And I'm like, I don't know what are the best steps I should do. I know one of them is like I was thinking of Patreon, which I asked you about, like what to look
Mm-hmm.
into that because they were like, oh, for artists, like it's a very good source
Mm-hmm.
to help you get your name out there.
Mm-hmm.
Like obviously I have my business cards. I'm making my own website. I'm like reviewing all the things that I've done over the years and making it more like focused and like
Mm-hmm.
being able to market myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm having difficulty like staying on track and doing it all.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I don't know where to go. Where should my directions go for it?
Mm-hmm.
That's a big part of my question, but that's the bulk of it. There's a little bit more details I can get into later, but that's the big one.
Okay. So so say you weren't progressive with your finances for for the coming like September and October, would you still be okay? Because you're teaching at studios and stuff, right? Like, would you be okay if you didn't make money doing the other stuff?
I wouldn't be like
Okay.
I pretty much hustle, so it's like each week I always post about photography shoots with people, or if anyone wants commissions for artwork. And I teach at three different studios right now, but it's not a lot of time, and it's like travel.
Yeah.
So it's like I teach out in. I'm not sure if you're familiar with these areas. Marlboro,
I've heard of it. I just
Marlboro's
don't know where that. I don't know where it's at.
it's outskirts of Boston, so it's like
Yeah. Okay.
45 minutes from Boston.
Okay.
I live in Worcester. It's
Uh-huh.
20 minutes from me
Mm-hmm.
by car.
Mm-hmm.
Another place is Clinton, which is right next to Marlboro. Another place I teach at is in Marlboro. Blah, blah, blah. Take two. Is in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I have those three locations, and two of them are going to become homes for me now this upcoming September. Like they want me in there. They want me to teach hip hop. They love my style. They love what I'm doing for the kids and also the adults that want to come in.
Mm-hmm.
It's a building process in September, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, remember, travel. Oh, the other thing too.
The
That
car.
makes me, yeah. Remember, you actually reached out to me when you heard about what happened to me.
Yeah.
So I still don't have my vehicle because everything gets pushed back because, I have to make money first in order to get the car so I can put myself on the road.
Mm-hmm.
So that limits my travel. In Boston, obviously, it's easy to go around because you have everything in there.
Mm-hmm.
In Worcester, it's either the train to go into Boston,
Mm-hmm.
and Marlboro and Clinton, like obviously those places you have to drive to it, There's
Mm-hmm.
no other way, or you have to Uber or Lyft. And if you think about it, Uber and Lyft, putting those numbers together, it's like 30, $40 each, just one way.
Yeah.
I asked for rides, I asked for like friends to help me. Like that's the way I'm like piggybacking off of like my connections that I've made over the years pretty much.
Yeah. Okay. Um, hmm. There's a
It's a
few
weird
ways.
spot.
No, it's not weird. There's just like a few ways to, I guess, go about it. Um, I think so. Okay, so how you said you've been doing this for a year?
Yeah,
So like, so pretty much in a position where it's like I have to get that money basically, or else
yeah,
like
pretty much.
okay. That's good. Because a lot of people can't do that like at all. Um, and I turned to like when I hit that point a few times, and I did have a little bit of leverage. And I mean, okay, one, like I live at my house, so I don't have like crazy financial pressure, but I do have bills that
Yeah,
I never miss. So at least I stay on top of that. Um, and there was a time where as soon as I was let go of a job that I was at, it wasn't corporate, it was a small business, but I
Mm.
pretty much sucked. And I felt really good about it after, and I started looking for things more in my alley. So
Yeah.
I looked at Craigslist, and you could definitely find some random things there. I don't know if you use it at all or no.
Yeah, I check on it a couple times, definitely.
And then I experimented. It's like I didn't do anything artsy, but I joined like an agency. It's just for contract work, where
Mm.
you could travel. You could like what you pick the job because they'll constantly blast you with jobs, and they tell you like the location, how many hours, blah blah blah, and a lot of it's just like being like a salesperson of some
Right.
sort. You travel. Sometimes you get reimbursed. If you have to take someone else's spot, they pay you extra. So I did that for like a month and a half, like as my job to keep me afloat. Then I switched
Right.
over to I did substitute teaching, which
Right.
is I don't know if have you done that?
Um, to be honest, like I haven't really I took over positions at a studio. Like
Mm-hmm.
at first I subbed for one of the people I used to work with. His name's Matthew Perella, was DCW.
Mm-hmm.
He couldn't make to his classes anymore because his change in his life. He's like, hey, can you sub for me? Sure. And then subbing became like, hey, they want to keep me at the studio as the main teacher, and then boom, that became like my main studio now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Um, so like subbing for like public schools isn't the worst
Mm,
thing, depending on which school system. So like for the Lowell public school system, they have an
mm,
entire system online where you would just pick the classes you want for that day, and
mm.
that's pretty much it. And you get paid like the lowest I've seen, depending on the district, is 65 for a day, but the most
Right,
I've seen was probably like 110, 120. So that just gives you flexibility of like,
right,
so I was like, again, I was in a position of like, how can, like, I want to find things that if I want to transition to something else, or if I don't have a job, then I could just bounce to something that is like contract-ish, and it's
yeah,
on my own time. So those are like, I guess, safety viable options that aren't really that hard, and you could still, like, my friends used it to promote themselves, which is like
right,
is a real thing when you can connect with the kids.
yeah,
Um,
definitely.
the other, and then I now I've just for the whole summer I've done like Uber and Lyft because I'm not teaching or anything. But that's obviously not a situation for you at the moment. Okay, so
Yeah,
the first thing I think of is like so the fact that you're able to make your money regardless is really good. Um, so what I'm doing personally is it's a very slow game. So I had to really like sit and figure out what I wanted to do, and I've thought of a lot of different things. There was times where I was teaching more workshops, and then I like backed off, and I was like, what am I trying to do? And
hmm,
so the route that I've chosen isn't financially lucrative like at all. Not now, anyway.
right,
It's more brand intensive, um, and I'm focusing more on that and the longevity opposed to making transactions. So that's
right,
like the difference. And so you doing that now obviously wouldn't be the best idea, but you
mm,
could put some time towards it. Um, yeah, so that's like, in order for me to do that, I have to have something else on the side that pays me consistently, which
right,
on some level I don't get to be like this full time artist, basically. Um,
yeah,
so there's that, which is something that I guess you could think about. And the reason why I do like that is that it just clears up time, and you have like when it comes to energy and focus and stuff, like it's easier for me, and I understand what it's
yeah,
like to kind of run around with your head cut off trying to hustle. Some people prefer that, but
yeah.
it can be like
Draining.
what I think of is like depending on where you're at in terms of your communication and your marketing and all that stuff. Some there are
Mm,
some people that like force it too much, where it's like, oh, like
yeah,
you're just trying to make money, like, And at that
Right.
point, it
Exactly.
kind of, and I totally understand that everyone needs to make money, but it just
Of
depends
course.
on like what kind of aura are you projecting and like where are your values, and all that kind of stuff. So then when you're making like, okay, so if I'm making like stable money and I'm fine, there isn't much pressure to convert people. Basically,
Yeah.
I don't have to put pressure to convert, even if I feel like what I'm doing is really good, right? So then I can just give 100% all the time, right? And not have to worry about making a conversion, because I
Mhm.
understand that building brand is more important for me right now.
Right.
So that's just something to think about. Um,
Definitely.
because that is super sustainable. And this is like, there's no right or wrong. This is like the path that I'm choosing. Super sustainable for me and the business model that I'm going after, which is giving value up front, and giving 100% of everything that I have. And then for the most part, everything that I'm doing is like free. But then there are still like little pockets of things that are like, oh yeah, I charge for that. Um, but I push the free stuff a lot because
Of
the
course.
most important thing is that. So here the thing is the thing about the conversion is, right. If you're promoting yourself, right, and you have to make income enough to survive, um, it's just less attractive to, or there's just like that weird like, oh yeah, I'm not like, oh that's dope, but I'm just not trying to spend money on your service. Or
Right.
sometimes that shies people away. And I always tell people that one of the best things you can do is, it's all about getting people's foot in the door, like
Hmm.
regardless of what you do. So then when it's free and you have multiple ways of communicating that message, that is your in. And as long as the
Right.
person is in your ecosystem, then and you build that brand, it's like that's kind of a better return, a better ROI long term
Yeah.
than it is to make a quick conversion. And what gets in the way is the friction of the money. It's like, man, like maybe like I get that from a personal standpoint, and like I just see it day
Yeah.
to day. And when I was doing like a sales thing, when people think, like I have to walk up to people and just promote an app, right? No money, nothing.
Right.
But people are just like, as soon as they see me or ask a question, like they tense up and they're just like, this guy trying to sell me something. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And so that feeling, and then like it's one thing to pitch and be like, yeah, it costs this much, or just to pitch, and people will kind of fly to you over somebody else, build the brand and the relationship, lock that in, and then educate people on the reality of what you do, which is what I do. So I share a lot of my stuff, and I'm like, yo, it takes mad hours, and so, and that's
Oh,
something,
yes, it
and
is.
you know what I mean? And like people, you want people to understand that, and this and that, um, and the money comes. It's that, like for me, I'm starting to see some of that now. Where it's like some people are asking to like, it's like, oh, like can you do that like that workshop thing that you do, like, and that's not even necessarily dance. It's just like whatever it is that I do.
Just
Um,
something.
yeah, it's just something. So and they're like willing to pay, and I'm like, oh, that's dope. So yeah, that's like the slow grind. If you're going to, what I do advise, if you're gonna stay on the grind the way that you are, is always offer free stuff somewhere, somehow,
Yeah.
because free stuff
That's like what I
allows.
do
Uh,
already.
yeah.
That's definitely what I do already. Yeah.
Okay.
It
Um.
it works very well. That I wouldn't call it a trap. It's just like I'm the type of person where like, oh, if I offer you this,
Mhm.
like, oh, sometimes I'm like, no, this could be a gift for you now because I know that like you might not be able to pay for something like that now. But it builds a connection to be like, oh, I really love this. I want this again, and it will make them want to give more to that or pay more attention to it.
Mhm.
It works. It's actually how I've been able to survive best because the same thing you talked about, or in like being able to like build connections with people is that's the reason why I was so good in sales at GameStop,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
when I'm doing things like I'm
I
able to
figured.
build these connections, and that's why I'm rich in connections,
Mhm.
but not necessarily in finance.
Mhm.
So I still find myself
Understood.
to be rich. That's the way I look at it.
Understood.
So it's like I can look at different things and outlets, and sometimes I don't mind doing work free. I don't mind it.
Mhm.
It's just a matter of like I just hope that people appreciate what it is that I'm doing for them,
Mhm.
and that's not always going to be this road.
Mhm. So what I would do is build like a model around some free stuff. So like make it more
Mhm.
clear. So like what I advised to one of my friends was, okay, so this is a personal philosophy. I never want to be in
Mhm.
a place where I'm inaccessible on a financial level. So like
Mhm.
usually when you go up, it's like, oh, now it costs $10,000 to make a beat with me, right? Like something like that.
Right. Yeah,
Whereas
ridiculous. Like, yeah.
like I get that, like you work for it, you earn it, and you're in that place, and that's totally fair. But I'm just someone who's like, I really believe in what I do, and I
Yeah,
understand that like not everyone can afford a therapist or anything like that, right? And
of course.
so I always want to have like a lane and a slot for
Mm.
that, and then I'll have like the paid stuff. The people who are willing to pay for time and understand that can do that, but I'm always going to respect the free and like the Patreon,
Mm.
because that's really important to stay connected to just people who can't necessarily afford stuff. And so you could build a model around that and have that just be like a section. So make, instead of, I guess, having it be person to person like you do it for free, actually be loud about it and just be like, hey, so once a month I take commission, or not commission, like I'll do something for free. Maybe it's a raffle, or like the
Mm.
status, or comment or tag your friends. So like you're talking about exposure, right? Free shit,
Right, right.
exposure, tag. You do some dope ass art for somebody. It's free. Someone's like, who's that? Da da da. I'm gonna pay him. So
Mhm.
like, if you can build a model around some of the stuff, so dedicate X amount of time for free work. That's
Right,
super key. Blast the shit out of that and make sure it gets a lot of attention. So
right.
that's really important.
Yeah. Like, 'cause that's definitely helpful. And I know that, like, for myself, I entirely understand that. And I know that, like, I've attempted it, but not in the corrective ways. That's why I was
Hmm.
like, I need to step back and correct my model, or like how to go about doing it in the right way,
Yeah.
or the more, I don't want to say beneficial, just like what's like how I am, like how I want to do it, not like how everyone else wants to do it, really.
Hmm.
Because my model is very different. I'll throw this at you. Again, I'm in Worcester,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
A thing about Worcester is this. The joke is the people I work with or used to work with, I'll say now, we kind of control the art like scene from
Hmm.
the shadows. What I mean by that is like the people I work with were very, very like popular. Like we worked with a lot of different companies, local artists, and they really, really appreciate our work, especially because we did some things for free. We also helped people who, are financially unstable or didn't have the finances. But we like to be, hey, I do this for you, you do something for me later. Don't worry about it. It's just equal
Yeah.
trade, and it worked out, and it built so much, like to the point where we were performing at one of the biggest places called like Mechanics Hall.
Yeah.
Like that's a very, very expensive venue. Like Obama's been there, Trump, like everybody's been in there. It's like the big ass venue. It's sick.
That's crazy.
But now things have changed because in the art realm, because I know every realm is different, dance realm versus like art photography realm, like every realm is different, and I'm technically jack of all trades,
Yeah.
but because of that, I figured out my path to being like a combination of everything.
Hmm.
But because of that, I have to focus in certain areas. What I mean by that is if I'm doing photography, like if I'm like, oh, photography hat on, remember I'm going to be going against over 10, 15, 20 different people who work out in Worcester, who all want to be photographers, videographers, all those people.
Hmm.
And everyone out this way is very money hungry and just like trying to get the quick buck, trying to like make things hustle. That's the biggest thing in Worcester.
Hmm.
And if you were to look at people's art, and I'm very, very critical of people's work, I don't mind giving them exactly what it is that I look at it. Like I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. Like I'm sorry, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
Like, and I see it. I'm like, you're basically a replica of this person, or you're just riding this wave to be like this in order to make a quick buck, versus you actually building your own brand or building something that's unique that
Hmm.
will attract more other people to you.
Hmm.
And yeah, you'll make like money, sure, but just being a promoter here, working with this person here, and you basically being their underling, it's like you're not really learning anything. You're just being a cardboard copy.
Yeah.
That causes more competition, and people are going to be like, oh, I want this person, but this person does the same exact thing, so why would I not want to do that? He's doing it for cheaper, so I'm going to go to this person. Or this person does it for free, I'm going to go talk to this person.
Yeah.
And it's like that's been how it is in this area. So with myself, I was like, everything's very competitive. So instead, because we're or my group was famous for doing things in the dark and just controlling stuff and being a part of like the art community in Worcester, I instead was like, I'm going to separate from you guys. No disrespect, it's just because like the path that I want to go on is different than you guys. Y'all are more focused on just making quick bucks and just like just doing stuff for people that isn't really like yourselves.
Yeah.
So I need to focus on me because I've been fucked over like
Mm-hmm.
a lot. Like I've
Okay.
lost thousands of dollars of like um let's just say thousands of dollars just because I've worked with the right people at the wrong time. That's the
Okay.
best way to put it.
Okay.
And so I'm like, you know what? I need to go on my own and focus on these other things, which is fine, and that's okay. And when I transitioned that from the dance realm, photography realm and dance realm, they're friends, but they're not in the same boat, you know? Everyone wants to be a teacher. Everyone wants to like be able to like do dance and such like that. But I don't believe that everyone can be a teacher. They can be a
Mm-hmm.
fantastic dancer, but can you really teach? Can you mentor? Can you really guide the group of individuals that you're with and be able to adjust to each person equally? And I've expressed that outwardly to studios, and because I've actually done that, that ruined my chances of being a teacher at some locations, which I have no problem admitting.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay, that's fine. But that's my philosophy. I'm like, not everyone can be a teacher,
Mm-hmm.
and I've I have the backing. I have the people who I've worked with that could definitely vouch for like my teaching skills and how I am as a person to like bring these people together.
Mm-hmm.
So those studios, for example, they're the ones that reach out to me. I never reached out to anyone. They told me, we want you, and I love that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's helpful for me. But again, they're two realms. Sorry if I'm like going
No, no,
everywhere,
no, it's all
but
good.
they're two different realms. So it's a matter of like I have to balance out like what I should be doing in each, but the way I work them both is pretty much the same. I like to stay unique. I like to say to myself, I like to be to my brand, but it's mainly for me, it's all about the people and who I can connect with. I don't really care about the numbers necessarily,
Mm-hmm.
but if it's a benefit for me in the long term, that's the first thing I look at, and I'm like, this can really work out for me.
Mm-hmm.
But now, because when you get in that hole and like bills start hitting you and you're like, I can barely sustain my own self, the first
Yeah.
thought is I need to make money, I need to do something. Like I have to, you get that rush. And I have a lot of time, but I
Mm-hmm.
need to use my time efficiently,
Yeah, yeah.
and that's the issue. Because it's like I teach dance Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
They're not a lot of hours. They're like maybe 2, 3 hours each time. Cool. Each one has a different amount of pricing.
Mm-hmm.
In between that, I use that time to do my art and photography. And if I have private lessons, sure, I can do that. And during that free time as well, I work on my own brand. I work on myself. Like I try to like, well, self healing so I can like be able to do all these things for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But during that time for myself, I feel that I need to be using it better to promote, like you were saying, or exposure to like reach out to other broader audiences.
Mm-hmm.
But again, the correct way of doing it is like I'm just looking for other many options
Yeah,
because
yeah,
like
yeah.
I'm very focused, but like there are things where I might miss or like I didn't even consider like the substitute teaching, like you said, or
Yeah.
the way I should go about exposing. I didn't think of that. But
Mm-hmm.
it's a very good idea. It's not like it's a bad idea. Like, no, it's like, oh, no, I actually look into that. That's a good idea. And
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think of that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I started like like just
No, no,
bleh,
it's all
working on
good.
me. I
It's
lost
all
myself.
good. That's real.
Where was I
I'm
at?
still here.
Hmm, lost myself. But oh yeah, got it. So yeah, my biggest thing is that like I don't want to like I'm doing what I love, which is great and it's awesome. And a lot of people say like they're honestly jealous of what I get to do and like I get to live my life. But it's like it's hard at the same time because
Yeah.
it's not hard. I mean, sorry, it's not easy at all
Yeah.
whatsoever. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
night owl. I don't go to sleep until like 6 o'clock in the morning, sometimes 5,
Yeah.
and then I sleep for a couple hours and I keep doing what I have to do.
Mm-hmm.
I stay up late so that I can have time for myself or like play league or like do something.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest of the day is like, oh, it's mainly to my work, it's to my brand, it's to like bettering myself and build more connections and to work
Mm-hmm.
for just a little bit. And those people appreciate all the things I do, which is great. So I can get great benefits from it.
Mm-hmm.
But it can eventually burn you out, especially if you're not doing anything. And I'm actually fearful and I'm not really scared of a lot of things, but burnout is a thing that's been popping up in my life constantly now.
Okay. Okay.
I keep hitting the wall, so I'm just like, I can't burn myself out because that's gonna be really bad, especially because again, I'm helping people. So if I burn out, who's gonna really take over, like be able to take care of them? If I can't take care of myself, how can I expect to take care of them? Or how can I expect myself to teach people when my mind's foggy or cloudy?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Okay.
so it's like, that's why I'm really big on looking into um, other methods that I probably haven't really looked into, or like things I should consider or think about doing, or maybe put into my rotation of things that I do.
Okay. Um. Let's see. Oh man. Okay. Okay. I was taking some notes. So there's a few things. Trying to be fast. Okay. So one good way to try and handle a lot of your transactions. This can come out of a bit of a financial loss, or you're just
Hmm.
gonna amp up the prices a little bit. But have you heard of Fiverr or Fiverr?
Yeah. So I've actually tried Fiverr, but to be honest, I didn't do all that well with it. I think it's just because I didn't understand it like fully.
Yeah. So, but my point with that no, I don't know why people haven't done it yet. Like my friends, whenever I tell them like, oh, I should use the service. The point of it is just it's an easy way to kind of like followers and stuff because you'll get
Yeah.
ratings, right? So just even the people that you know personally, put them through that system so that each time you do a transaction, you'll get like 5 stars, assuming it's really good, and then you get plus one, plus two, three, four, five. So what that's gonna do is while you may, depending on your pricing, you may lose on
Mm.
some money at that moment, um, but what you're doing is you're trying to boost yourself on that platform so that you can start getting people from that place. So
Right.
like if you get like 100, jobs in real life here, that's adding up in a digital space that's gonna help put you in a different place that you don't necessarily have to hardcore network. But now it's
Right.
like now say you are on Fiverr and you're active, you're like okay, how do I take advantage of this platform now? I have 100 ratings and I look really good. You keep getting good at that. So now you start to open up doors in that space. So that's one of those
Right.
slow grinds, but it's worth it, I think.
Right. No,
Um,
definitely.
um, there's a place called Unsplash. Have you heard of it?
Actually, never
And
have I.
there's a few places like that. I just know that that's like the top one. There might be like maybe two, three, or four. It's just a place where you can upload photography for free. And so what's a good thing to do is take some of your dopest pics. They could honestly not even be like just they're just random, and it
Mm.
gets put. You can hashtag it. It gets put into a search engine. So I use it for Medium. A lot of people on Medium use Unsplash. So it's just good for brand awareness,
Right.
and you could flex that too because you get numbers on that. But it's free. I think you could get I think people can get a subscription service with Unsplash. I don't know. I just know that you
It's
can get you
Upsplash or
unlock
Unsplash?
Unsplash.
Unsplash. Got
Yes.
it. I'll get that. Because yeah, I've never heard of that medium at all. Like, interesting.
Yeah, if you can get exposure, because that's a way that's sharing your photography for free, where people can use it, and a lot of the
Yeah,
times they'll credit the artist. So
of
that's
course.
yeah, so that'll be really dope. Um, you use Tumblr at all?
Too. I used to use Tumblr, then I like
Me too. Me too.
that was like my like I call it like everyone has like an online diary or like a
Yeah,
journal.
yeah.
Yeah, I use Tumblr as like that side, especially back in high school and to like
Mm-hmm.
even like college.
I feel that.
Like I go back there, read some dark shit, and I'm like,
Yep.
this
Yep.
is good, this is a real thing.
Uh, yeah, I know it's still around. It's still popping. I mean, if anything can get reblogged like crazy on there, that's just good exposure. Um, um, I would think. Okay, so besides the services and the art that you do, I would think about building content around that. So
Mm,
not and right now I'm just jumping into brand.
that's
And
fine.
if you could do that, like film, do live streams, and just like especially like just pumping out live streams a lot,
Hmm.
giving it some contests, getting people excited. like, interacting, whatever. Like if you're working on a piece or whatever, it's always like it doesn't hurt to stream, like to just turn it on and just to be there. It just because with what I've found is that you'll find like someone will come along eventually, someone, or if it's just like a good friend who's just chilling, whatever. Maybe it's 3 o'clock in the morning. You're the only one streaming. You guys just hanging out while you're doing your art. Like it just happens, and that is always a good thing.
Yeah.
So what I was thinking was if so, say, do you do digital art or anything?
Yeah, that's where my main like thing is. So like I would do traditional, for example, and then scan it in to Photoshop, Illustrator, and then like I use my my Wacom pen or just like normal uh, keyboard and just create my art there. So it's like I had all my art on my Instagram posted there. I used to actually have a page on Facebook. I decided to take them down at the moment while I organize it all.
Mm-hmm.
But that's my other thing is that like I'm digital art is like my key thing. Like I've made people business cards actually even too. Like
Dope.
that's yeah.
Okay, okay.
The joke is if I can't like I like to alter like my photography to be like a certain visions. Like everything I do has like a story to it, and
Mm-hmm.
I like to portray it in some sort of articulate form. And if I can't get the photo correct, I'm like, no, I have to create it in a different medium and make it into something digitized. It's another way
Yeah.
to do it. Like, dude, oh, dude, I'll snag one right now. Hold on, right above my head. When we have art shows out in Worcester, like I do things. Hold on, I'm not sure if you can see this.
Oh shit.
Yeah, like things like this.
That's fucking fire, bro.
I have a lot of different things that are like that. Those ones. Obviously, I do like anime stuff as well, but also I like to do surreal. I have a bunch of different ones, like,
Damn.
and after I digitize them, like of course, I print them out. I like depending on the size of what people want,
Mm-hmm.
and if I can find art shows, like I bring my art to the galleries, and that has helped me as well. But it's
Mm-hmm.
like organizing. I gotta
Yeah, yeah.
organize it.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I'm just kind of throwing out a lot of shit. Um, I would think about like if you decide again more on branding and stuff and content for exposure, like
Mm-hmm.
you decide to kind of step it up in that department, with like just documenting
Mm-hmm.
more of that than like creating just because of time. So like the
Yeah.
time is gonna be focused more on the hustle, but if you can spare time for branding, which is like its own thing, I would think about like maybe finding an editor in exchange
Mm-hmm.
for like your art service.
Right.
You feel me? Like
Ooh.
it's because it's on that level that it's so like it's so good that it's like they're not gonna produce
Yeah.
that themselves. But it's like, yo, if you're telling me if I could edit like if I spend like 5 hours editing his content for him, and then he's gonna give me a
Right.
dope ass paint like or whether it's digital because you don't have to pay anything, you know what I mean, or something like
Yeah.
that. Like that'd be sick.
Yeah, it's this is why I love. I'm so glad that like I reached out to be to talk to you about it because I feel like I'm hearing myself talk to myself. So it's just like this is like, and I can write it down. I'm like, no, that makes sense. I was thinking this. No, that was honestly a conversation that I had with a good friend of mine that I helped teach dance. Oh right, cool thing. Sorry.
Hmm.
Uh, place I teach at on Sundays is Urbanity. It's a group called Prismatic. Prismatic is a group of beginners and intermediate dancers, and
Hmm.
they literally didn't have really any direction. And I got paid for half of the session, and then the other session I get paid for because I helped mentor another teacher who I've worked with before to
Hmm.
help the group, and we built like a beautiful performance. It was the best. Like we got a lot of awards for it recently, and everyone thanks me. It's great. It's beautiful. And then because of that, they created a position for me. So now I'm a director of Prismatics. Like what?
Oh
Like
shoot.
it evolved into something like that. And then in my head, I'm like, I need an editor. I need an assistant.
Hmm.
Like that's all I was thinking to myself.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, so just hearing you say, it, I'm like, see, I'm not the only one that thinks this. Okay, this is beautiful.
You could definitely find like an assistant or an apprentice or whatever. Trust. You
Yeah,
could.
it's definitely helpful because I can do a lot of things, but sometimes I'm like, I need help. So
Um, yeah, Justin was my assistant for a bit. I didn't use him too much, but he was helpful.
Yeah, but that's
Oh,
still something.
yeah,
That's
of
still
course,
something.
of course, of course. Now I just like I kind of have friends that I can reach to for certain things.
Yeah.
Um, Patreon, I think, is a great idea. I would also consider Kickstarter, Indiegogo. So if you're trying to do like say it's a good Kickstarter and Indiegogo could be a good way to kind of see how much financial support you can get to build traction. It could
Right.
like you launch some sort of project and you see where you're at. You can kind of gauge, right? Test, whatever. Not necessarily
Right.
looking for it to be like, okay, this is gonna I'm banking on this to get me paid, but just like to try, right?
Right.
Patreon is way less risky. It's just hot like that's just all brand value.
Yeah, that's
But
what I see it
on
as.
top of brand, which I don't know how clear it is for your audience or your homies,
Hmm.
but I trust because of your personality and whatnot that it'll all work out for you. Um, you could definitely build a model around your art specifically. I know a
Hmm.
lot of artists have done that,
Yeah.
where they're either they draw whatever they want or they take requests and it's very personal. It can either be so a lot of artists will do it per drawing or something.
Yeah.
So that if
Because I used to be on sorry to
no
interrupt you.
no
I
it's
used
all
to
good it's
be
all good.
on DeviantArt was like my thing I did way back when. Like back in like college, because that helped me like get funds as well, and it helped like promote my own portfolios and like get other jobs. It did help. And then I saw Patreon like at the very very beginning when it was like very low key and only artists knew, but like I never touched it because I wasn't too sure yet because I was like I need to focus here first, and one day I might go back to it. And I slowly keep on seeing it pop up, and I'm like, I want to look into it. I have, but I don't fully understand it the way I want to at
Yeah.
the moment.
Well, it's just basically um, monthly contributions or the whole pay per whenever you drop something. Um, you create perks, whatever the heck you want. There are different financial tiers,
Right.
and it's always good to have like a bunch of like low balling ones and higher ones. Um, that's pretty much it. There's like
That's,
it's pretty simple,
yeah.
and then you just kind of build like a community around that, which I've done, and like I use Discord. Oh, Discord's a good idea too, or
Yeah.
something along those lines, because it's a good way to keep track of who is really, I guess, paying attention to your stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I feel that.
So like like okay, so it's one thing to post on social media, and it's like hit or miss. You don't know if people are gonna see things,
Yeah.
but if you really want to lock people in, um, FOMO is a thing. Fear of missing out. Um,
Mm.
just knowing that
Oh,
everything
yeah.
can drop on your
I have
Discord,
extreme phobia.
uh, using Discord as like that place where you can connect with people constantly and they'll get your notifications because it's just like a texting thing. Is really
Yeah.
useful. You could like you could do transactions through Discord if you decide not to go with Fiverr or whatever, or use
Mm.
both. I don't know. You could be like, oh, I'm having a sale. I'm gonna leave a discount code on my Discord server. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
just find different
Right.
ways
Right.
to
Right.
take advantage of something like that. Um, have you like looked into putting your stuff on merch, like Teespring or Redbubble or anything?
So it's like I've seen Redbubble. Oh, this is awful. So I remember the people I used to work with. They've been pushing like, oh, you should do a Kickstarter, you should do Indiegogo, you should do all that stuff. And I'm like, yes and no. There has its perks to it, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't think I should just yet. I'd rather look at all my options first instead of just like I'm just gonna just jump and do it. It's
Mm-hmm.
not. I don't think it's a good
Bless
idea.
you.
And so we did Red Hole one time,
Yeah,
and I remember that someone, I posted a picture. It was beautiful,
yeah,
fantastic
yeah.
work. Someone messaged me like about a couple days later and said, "Hey, I see your your mini store that you made with like Vidya, the people I actually work with, selling my
Oh, okay,
hat.
okay.
Um, like, hey, you posted a photo, whatever, digital like art creation, and it's on someone else's like site." And I was like, "Wait, what?" and they sent me the link, and someone was selling my same art and stuff like that through them, and I was like, what? What?
Yeah.
That's been interesting. And then ever since then, like the VR workers, they're like, now we're gonna shut it down. We're gonna go after them X, Y, and Z, and then we never used it again because they didn't feel that the platform was safe. And I like again, I wasn't the manager of
I
that
see.
like with it, so I was just kind of like, yeah, sure, like it's fine. Like I'm not hurt by it. I'm like, thank you for that, but like indirectly, I'm like, thanks. You went out of your way, so that's cool.
Hmm.
But at the same time, I'm like, you're killing my pocket though. At the same time, but it's fine.
Yeah. Okay, I just brainstormed another idea. So try like okay, a few ideas. Hold on. Change
No, I like this. This is like helping me like brainstorm. Like I have a whole wall of notes now. This is beautiful.
Okay, so say you did like, well, I know that Teespring is super like that's more what people are doing because they limit the
Hmm.
amount of time that they have their stuff, which
Oh, nice.
I would definitely look into because like you launch a campaign, you're like it has 10 days and like the shirts are gonna go out after a certain amount or something like that. I think it's where if you get X amount of backers, then the project is
Yeah,
successful and you do it. I think
right.
it's something like that, but it's limited. Um, you could combine. You can like try to, like say you're like if do something like or something random like if you buy a shirt, then you can come to my class or something for free or get something else. It's like a kind of crossing between the.
Mm,
If you think of somehow like combining stuff here and there, it's
right.
good. So yeah, if people like if you did something like that and then you held the class and say like, oh, now everyone can come for free, whatever, or some I'm gonna host a free workshop because the this campaign was successful, and then just using that as an opportunity because now you have attention. Attention is really important.
Of
To then
course.
like you could talk about your Patreon in real life. I do, and that helps a lot.
Hmm.
Um, have you thought of let's see, so photography, pitching your stuff to other creators to feature on their things?
I honestly have not, besides like people in my location locally. I haven't like really reached like online or other people with anything yet.
Mm-hmm. Um, so you could definitely have one section being under like branding and marketing. Um,
Hmm.
Putting your stuff in lots of different places that you wouldn't even think of, is really dope.
Hmm.
Um, like or even say so for example like an artist that you look up to or just someone that's dope and they want album art, um,
Yeah.
something like that. Like whether it's you, you make something original. If you again dedicating that small space of like free, what like
Hmm.
the whole one that you could just brand and market, but then the other of like let me give my stuff out to people who I feel like can get my name out there. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So it could be used for just like cover photos, album stuff. So you know, like they're used like music channels that will put like art on the thing.
Yeah.
That's kind of a big deal. Um, Anything like that when you're just willing to give up your stuff and then people are like yo like check this out. You know that's always really good exposure. Um, it's a lot of branding and marketing.
Yeah. It's sucky too because like um I always had my head person do all the branding and marketing, but I was more so the creative director.
Mm-hmm.
So it was more so like I gave just the direction of stuff. But like now, since I've separated from them, it's like now I have to focus more on my own like branding and marketing, which is like because he's literally a marketer. Like I learned so much from him because like he was like mentoring me. So like I literally have been in it, been around it, and understand how the system works. But
Mm-hmm.
it's now like I have to apply it to what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and originally I haven't done it yet, and I've been looking into how to do it. Like I have my books, like have written all these different things about my brand of what I should do, what are my next steps. But it's a matter of like I just have to do it now, like do it
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
instead of constantly just planning. And I'm just like,
I
usually
see.
I'm the type of person who like I just do it usually,
Yeah.
and then I'm like, "Yep, and keep it going. But now I'm like, why am I thinking so much? I need to stop thinking. I'm just gonna like do it.
I feel that I've been having to doing a lot. I've been having to do a lot of thinking just to properly plan what my moves are gonna be.
Yeah.
Um, to build consistency and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, the main thing I do is just, because once I have attention, I'm good. Like, that's all I
Mm.
need. And so once I have that connection with somebody, it's really easy to just make everything else pop off the way that I need it to. Um, so when it comes to like the transactional stuff, like, yeah, I mean, if you already know how to hustle, you know how to hustle. It's just getting your things into different avenues that you would never think of having. Um,
Right.
um, yeah, if you could ever, like, on some crazy, super creative shit, like, if you could collaborate with like a music artist or just someone who is really dope,
Hmm.
or is kind of already up there, if you're willing to like sacrifice or invest a lot of time into creating something completely original just for them, to be like
Hmm.
the theme of their album, with like a lot of original artwork or something that's super unique. Like, I don't know,
Right.
if you could pair up with artists for X amount of time on like a long project,
Yeah.
longevity like that, a temporary partnership with someone versus one-off projects are always a better idea. That
Right.
way you guys get familiar with one another, you build that relationship, and then the audiences get familiar with you because they keep seeing your name and your work, and then
Yeah.
you become like
Exactly.
synonymous with that, for like you become synonymous with that person for that project in particular.
Right.
um, and that can open up a lot of doors for you. Like, I've told my friends, like, they'll be like, oh, like, I'm like, yo, just straight up just DM these people. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
matter how big they are. And sometimes
Hmm. It really doesn't.
they get those replies, and I'm just like,
It
there it
do.
is. Like, they could, like, that's it. You
I
just,
believe it. I believe it. I can share the story really fast. I'm sorry, it just reminded me. I just so happened to want to help my director, who I wasn't in good terms with anymore.
mm-hmm,
But like that's just for personal reasons. And of course, he needed somebody. He needed a male dancer. He needed extra people. And I was like, it was a couple hours before like the event because they just needed people to do it. I was like, hey, he needs somebody. Called me. He's like, can you please come down to the mechanics hall? Like, can you like be a I'm like, I got you. No worries. I go there. Lo and behold, the video will come out soon. But I ended up dancing for Joyner Lucas's video, his most recent video.
yo, what the
Yeah,
fuck?
yeah. I was like what? Like I come in and I'm like, Joyner's what? Like
That is
he didn't even know
wild.
either. He didn't even know either. He just went in there. I was like, what? What are you doing here? Like,
Holy
and of
shit.
course we went up to him and he's a creative mind. He's a creative fiend. Like he's in his box and it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And he my director went up to him and literally shook his hand. I was like, hey, that was nice that we were doing what we were doing, but can we show you like tricks and like things? He looked at us. He's like, he doesn't laugh all the time. He doesn't smile. He's like, so you got tricks?
Yeah.
Yo, you have tricks? He's like, yeah. And he looked at me and I was like, he's like, let's go, just go off. I was like, okay, sure, bet.
Yeah.
And his face lit up, and he was just like, this is what I was looking for. I didn't know where I could find it, and
Wow.
because of that, he's like, you came up, shook my hand, and said, thank you. I appreciate that, and I'm making sure that this is definitely in the video. I was like, what? Like, year over my head just because I like reached out and then I'm like people are really easy to approach. Like I said, it's Joyner. Like everyone knows him, but
Yeah.
he was approachable. It wasn't like he had security and like they were like no. He was like, what's up? Like casual. I'm like, wow, that's awesome.
That's freaking tight.
Sorry. You just reminded me of that. Like that happened 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's freaking tight. He's nice.
So when that video drops, I'm gonna be like, share everywhere. So,
um, trying to see what else there is.
but
Um,
these are all like very very good ideas, especially like because I've been thinking of a lot of them, but it also really helps me that that one's done. I've been thinking a lot about them, but it's like it's good to hear another voice that can see what I'm talking about and give me extra advice to be like, no, you should do it this way, or you should look at this or think of this. So it like it broadens my brain. So like it picks my brain,
mhm,
so I can like really choose what's up.
mhm.
But
Um,
it's all been helpful. Very.
I'd say making lists of so like what I'm like okay, I'm gonna be studying. I'm studying health and I'm also studying music.
Hmm.
There's pre-made lists of like record labels or like blog like hip hop blogs and stuff that I should be familiar with. So if you
Hmm.
can get those things for yourself, depending on like what you're going for, like blogs are kind of where it's at too. If you can just
Hmm.
be like, yo, this is me, this is my work, and I have all these photos or your art, anything, whatever you have, and
Right.
just to give people the access to use it, like build a relationship, have the conversation, but then offer
Right.
it. It's always about just giving, right? Um, and if you can just get exposures in different mediums in that way, so like thinking major. A lot of people don't think that way. They think kind of like
Short term.
yeah, short term, trying to get numbers and tagging people. Like it's about reaching out to people who are kind of already like in different spaces, who like oh
Yeah.
like this person uses mad photos and their things. Well, like here's my whole library. If you ever want to use it, like go for it. If you could like show me some love and tag me or whatever, that'd be super dope too. And it's just
Right.
that would be dope.
Tag for tag. It works. It goes a long way.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like that is what's missing in a lot of people's hustle because they don't get it. It's like
Mhm.
yeah, like the art is important, and
Yeah.
but your personality, the communication, all that kind of stuff is very key. And then you mix that in with understanding how aggressive you have to be with marketing. Like aggressive
Yeah.
meaning like you got to put in the time.
Put in time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because I think yeah, all the exposure is just going to bring the attention that you need, and then you can make all the transactions that way. And I do think that if you can build your Fiverr and just keep pushing that and get numbers that way, then you'll be at a point where you'll finally be seen on the website,
Hmm.
and then you start getting traffic from that.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Because that works. Like I forget the word. Like not indirectly, but it's another word. Uh, Basically, it gains revenue without you really having to do much.
yeah,
If you
yeah,
understand what I
yeah,
mean.
yeah,
Just kind of like, oh, just because you did this and like you actually hustled and maybe DM somebody or like being able to get exposure, like, and they were like, hey, sure, I'm gonna post this here, and then just like, hey, who's this person? Click, and another person clicks, and it just works on its own.
yeah,
It's honestly, it's like I've been thinking about that so much, and it's just like, the thing that's been bugging me is that like out in my area, I know it's different from place to place. Is that
hmm
again, everyone's fighting each other. Like no one's willing to work with one another unless it's for their own benefit. And so that's another reason why I've separated myself a lot. So
hmm
it's like I really see that as an idea, but it's more so like I should instead reach out more towards other areas versus it being local or like immediately access. Like I reach out to people in New York, maybe across the lands, like go on Instagram or like really, really search more. Because yeah, I definitely should like be more active in doing it that way
okay.
instead of yeah. Oh God.
Um, yeah, branding, building that structure, Patreon, free stuff, finding an assistant. Yeah, that's kind of like where it's all at.
Hmm. No, definitely.
Cause
Like
you,
it all makes sense to be honest, and it's not like it's like oh it's out of reach. It's definitely all doable because like again I did think of all this, but it's like the little details that you picked into my brain helped me like better timeline things to make a clearer list to be like, oh, I can actually do this right now, and then
hmm
that can lead to here, and it just makes it much clearer versus it being very foggy.
hmm
So I do appreciate that,
that's dope.
but yeah, I think I don't really have any more questions. I think that on its own is just enough. It's easy. I'm gonna be up late doing things. Like,
No, that's
yep.
what's up. That's what's up. If you ever need to just like bounce stuff off me or whatever, like I'm
Mm,
as I'm as open and I try to be as available and present as I can. Like I'm trying to go
mm,
into my own show right now because I'm
of course.
trying to kill it and crank out content, but I'm really just trying to figure out what that format's gonna be for myself.
Yeah.
Um, but other than that, like when I do have time or if I pick up a call, like I'm in it.
Mm, right.
Yeah.
No, that's highly appreciated because then it's just like, oh yeah, I'm doing this stuff, but like right now I'm focused on you. What's up? Like
Yeah.
it's beautiful. That's great. But
If you need any, so besides me, there's a friend of mine. Let's see, there's a few, but I'm just trying to think real quick. Do you know Mike Teslak of 41st Casanova?
um, familiar, very familiar.
Okay.
I don't have a vision at the moment, but like name very familiar.
Yeah, he's my dude, and if you could ever just like hit him up, you can just tell him I sent you so he gets an idea. He's like, oh, okay. Um, and maybe not even for any particular reason, but he's been doing
Mm,
his craft full time for I think almost 4 years now, or already 4 years. He does film,
nice.
went to production, and now he's like stepping up even more, and he's growing. Um,
That's beautiful.
so you probably learn something from him. Um, If not, then it's just to have someone in your network and then to also have opportunity because he's connected to a lot of artists and stuff. So he gets like his workflow is constant. So the stress is not like he doesn't have to
Mm,
market hard, honestly, because
right,
he's really put in the work. So it's like
right,
he has enough to survive and the work comes to him at this point.
right.
So like if he ever needed someone like dance, like he'll ask me sometimes if you do any
Mm,
kind of acting, if you want to feature your art in something. Just getting to know his community of artists that he messes with consistently would also be a big help
mm.
to you because those artists are willing to pay for their work.
True.
You know what
That's
I
very
mean?
true.
Like anyone
Right,
who he's
right.
worked with, like he gets the money from. So
That's definitely a good connect. I'll keep that in mind, 150%.
okay, yeah.
Not about that, because I know they're like, oh damn, wait, hella like high on time. But I don't mean to hold you up much longer, but no, this is like definitely enough and actually like clears my head, and I
Hmm.
have like a whole thing of notes over here. So like I can look things over and like really see it. So like now like what I've been doing, I can now like fully say that like I'm okay. I was not doing bad. It was just a
Yeah,
matter
yeah,
of
yeah.
like I need organization. I just need to bounce ideas off
Yeah,
of someone that like understands it because a lot of people in my circle have like they've changed or like they're not really like all that focused in what they're doing anymore or less passionate and like I'm usually the light in the darkness. That's me. I'm that
yeah, yeah,
person.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's like sometimes if I'm down, it's like I need something else. I need some sort of outsource,
Hmm.
and I don't get that from around my area. So it's just like I really have to reach out
Yeah.
and find it.
Hmm.
So it's like that. This helps a lot. So like it keeps me focused versus being like, I don't want to do it and start losing motivation because no, 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 no,
Yeah. Like,
I cannot. No.
and now you got a lot of things to work on, which is dope because now you can like build all these things and then just keep going. If you ever like, I guess don't have the motivation or something. The last thing that just popped into my head when I had talked about kind of like pitching your stuff to different like platforms and people. Have you ever messed with Musically? It's
Uh,
branded different now. It's called TikTok.
oh, it's TikTok now, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
like way earlier on, I messed around with Musically, like, and I made like it's funny. I made like a lot of cool videos, and I had a lot of views, but
Hmm.
like I just did it like for shits and giggles, just for fun,
Hmm.
and I just stopped because it was just like I don't know, like I was just doing other things at the time.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
That's also
but
one of the platforms I would look at in terms of like if you're not creating stuff originally on there, which is fine,
mm,
just making sure that your stuff gets seen by people there. That's
yeah,
just
'cause
another
I know
hot
that we use it.
platform.
Mm.
Yeah, I have not even on there yet, but I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to figure out my plan for that.
It's actually good. Like I think it's better now because it's
Yeah,
TikTok now, right?
yeah,
'Cause I remember like I saw it like growing up, and obviously everyone's like, "Oh, all the kids are on it, and nothing's really going on." I'm like, there's a little bit more to it, and it evolved into what it is now. I'm like, "Oh wow, it's
yeah.
just everywhere now."
It's huge.
But yeah, no. Is there anything else you can throw my way off the top of your head? I
Um,
think I'm spent. I think I'm pretty solid.
yeah, I think that's it. Just make it very clear who you are and what you're trying to do. Very, very clear,
Yeah.
and then stick to it. So and this I could say it from my experience of switching from being branded and seen as like a dancer purely to
Hmm.
then pushing like just talk to me. I don't even know how to push that, but like now I'm
Right.
in a place where it's like I'm able to do this, and like I thought of it, I was like, yo, like if I could just dedicate a time to just talk to people, like that would be dope. And I want that to be like a
Right.
thing for me. But I know that I had to put in the foundation for that first. And so I had to, in the law of attraction, I had to project it out there. Like I redid all of my banners, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Oh, you can't do it on Instagram.
Right.
Twitch, all that stuff. And I was like, this is what I do. Just talk to me. I'm here for you, this and that. And so, because that ultimately, that's what makes me happy. So I'm good. Like,
Hmm.
I'm down to just talk forever. If I could just sit here and like I was financially straight, like I'd be like, hell yeah. And obviously it's
Right.
gonna evolve past that, but that's kind of like my main thing. And I'm
Right.
projecting that out there, and so now people hit me up and they contact me and they are bombarded with the reminder that I'm that person that if they ever feel like they need someone to talk to, that they can reach out to me. So just
Right.
make that very clear. Whatever it is that you're trying to do, as much as we want to inspire people and to be good people, it's like you need to cut through even that because we're all good people out here. So you really have to find that thing and stick hard to it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. Because, like, I can tell you right now, like, if that's like the way that you've been branding yourself, like, that's the way I see you as. So, like,
Yeah.
it makes sense to me. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Instead of
Mhm.
just being a dancer, because it's funny because I never just saw you just as a dancer. I was like, I think you're more like a mentor, like that entrepreneur, like do it. That's the way that's my vision. But like, I
Yeah.
never really saw a dancer, which is weird.
Yeah.
But like,
Mhm.
I don't know. That's never my thought. So it makes sense. So whatever it is you're doing, it works. It works.
Yeah.
That is the idea.
That's everything I got for you. And if you ever, I guess, have any questions or anything along the way, or just, creative collaboration, anything, whatever, just let me know.
Of
Always down to
course.
talk.
Yeah, will do, shall do. I just have a lot I gotta organize and go through first, but you'll definitely be hearing from me sooner rather than later.
Dope. I'm excited for you, man.
That's no, thank you. It just helps. Just very, very helpful.
I'm glad.
Okay. Now my brain hurts.
If you eat apples, that helps.
That is true. I had bananas and I was like, this is nasty. And it's funny because I love organic what's it called, bananas versus like regular bananas. So like I've been like purposely searching for organic bananas, and if they're not organic, I'm like, I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah,
It tastes different to me. That's just random. That's just to me.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
like,
I know. I feel that. I do. I feel that. I'm starting to get to that level with certain foods too.
I think health is serious. It's important because uh, especially like with this stuff because it's like self-employment and having to do all this kind of stuff. It's just like
Oh
you
yeah.
have to take care of your freaking self because like it's no good. It's no good.
Hmm.
But anyways, I will not hold you up much longer.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, dude.
But yes, I will get back to you soon about things. It'll be very interesting. Like it's like I have a take two. I have a giant vision in my brain. It's happening. It's happening. It's good.
That's good.
All right, sir. Well, thank you.
Yeah,
Much, much appreciated.
no problem.
And I will get in contact with you soon about things. Yeah.
Okay, that's what's up.
Good talking to you, bro.
Yeah,
This
dude.
is
Good luck.
well, my phone's about to die anyway, so it works out.
All right.
What's the E button on this call? Found it. There you go. Peace.
Peace, man. All right. Lauren, are you ready? Just. Oh man, I haven't seen you since forever. Haha. Oh wait, nope, can't hear you. I feel like, what is it? What is the problem? I can't hear squat. No, I can't hear you. What? Let me see if it's a me problem or the app. I'm gonna try calling someone else because it didn't work for my friend either. Hey Carla, I'm gonna call you. Hey, is it working? Wait, I don't know if I can hear you. I can hear me.